what are other people going to think of me if I achieve this or don't achieve this? My family's never been able to achieve this level of success before. What are they going to think of me? Like maybe, maybe I don't really want to, achieve this level of business success because I'd be kind of the outsider then. And, I'm uncommon in my own family and these are the types of things that can kind of come to mind. But to me, it's a lot of fear and it's a lot of um, fear of other people's judgment.
Hey y'all, it's Kay and Tanner here, and we're going to be talking about something that many of us have either struggled with or will possibly struggle with in the future, especially when we're talking about business and really all walks of life. And that is the topic of limiting beliefs. Oh my gosh, those things that perplex us in business from moving forward and stepping into our purpose and into our business. So, Tanner, let's kick it off. Let's start the conversation about limiting beliefs.
I love this topic. You and I were just talking a little bit about this, and yeah, kind of some different ways in personal life to business and everything else. And I'm a firm believer that everyone faces some form of limiting belief, probably multiple times throughout their journey. But yeah, I'm excited to dig into this topic. Whether it's deep level stuff or whatever we want to get into. But I know you were just talking about kind of a post that you put out there. Maybe that's a good place to start. But kind of, what was the impetus behind the post that you had sent out or on the topic, and kind of tell us a little bit about what that was. I think that'll be a good place to start.
Definitely, definitely. When we decided to talk on this, it was just perfectly in alignment with my post I did a Monday mantra on my Instagram today to kind of like share with my listeners, and I usually come from a place of reflection, like something I've recently went through, which was, halting my progress was what I was dealing with, what I am dealing with is that why am I not allowing myself, why am I limiting my beliefs of what I can and cannot do? There's a cap. And it's like when we get to that kind of that threshold of we need to level up, or we're at a point of leveling up, or a point of a new chapter in business, or whatever it may be, we have that hesitation, and that can come in the form of a limiting belief, which actually things like limiting beliefs, perfection paralysis, and many of those terms that we hear that hold us back are actually our brain's weird mechanism of trying to keep us safe because we're moving into new territory within our business. Now, what we know cognitively is that, hey, this is all right. Yeah, we're going to face challenges. We've got this. But that 10,000-year-old kind of limbic brain, Google that if you need to, but that old brain, that subconscious also is involved, creates these limiting beliefs as a protection mechanism. However, it's actually holding us back. But it's a normal mechanism. It's something we all go through. Like I said, I'm going through it right now in real time. So that is what I talked about, is that Monday mantra of just stepping forward. The beliefs may be there, but step forward, and we can share some tools on how to do that.
Mm. Yeah, yeah. What the other piece I think you said when we were kind of off camera was self-sabotage and kind of how this kind of plays into potentially self-sabotaging. So maybe we can take a minute to get into that. But yeah, so for kind of a little bit of context for me, it was kind of top of mind that we're talking about, limiting beliefs and different things like that. Because this last weekend, I just went back through and redid my dream builder. So if you haven't gone through that, whether it's a vision board or like a dream journal, something else like that, but really just putting your head forward on like, what are all the things that I want out of life, whether it's experiences or things or relationships or whatever. And I hadn't gone through and just like been open to sitting down and doing that and only focus on that for kind of the weekend. So I just did that again, and I took some advice walking into redoing this, and it was really, what are all the things that I had dreamed and hoped and thought would be super cool and all that kind of stuff as a kid that I just gave up along somewhere along the way. A mentor of ours was going through the process, and he recalls going back and um, cleaning out like his house, something like that. Cleaning out his mom's house and all that kind of stuff, and had a whole bunch of stuff from his childhood room. And he pulls out and he had this poster of a Lamborghini. He's like, totally forgot that that was something that was like on my, things I wanted as a kid. And, like in that moment, he's just like, why did I give up on this? Who
Mhm.
says I can't? Like that's not fair. It's like, so it went back up on the dream board, and fast forward a number of years, and he's accomplished those types of goals, and it's just like, that's a kind of a cool way to go through it. But those limiting beliefs and things that we like gave up on because life told us that we couldn't have it. It was like, that's kind of cool. So that was kind of my background getting into this conversation. But let's take it in the direction of self sabotage, because I think that's kind of an important piece.
Mhm.
Start thinking about different things, whether it's business success, it's financial success, it's relationship success, even, and having some, maybe some limiting beliefs behind, do I deserve this? Should I have it? And like you mentioned, maybe our brains kind of being playing protective of past experience and start getting to the self sabotage. So, what's your thoughts on that? You brought that up, so give me a little bit of context on what you were thinking in terms of self sabotage or experiencing that.
Yes, self-sabotage. This is one that, yeah, I struggle with and have struggled with and will struggle with, as we all do. It is that, where when we're met with something new, an opportunity, whatever pillar of life it is, if it's unfamiliar to us, that like kind of can stem a fear or an anxiety around what we're like stepping into. Now, this can be, it can help us, but it can also, hurt us in terms of growth, especially when it comes in the form of a sabotage or a self-sabotage or turning down or even like having even if we're like behaving out of character. That's one way I look at my patterns of behavior, and that's how I can address, oh, there's some self-sabotage there. Is usually if I look at my typical pattern of behavior when I'm in a very like a homeostasis, like a very secure in all of what I'm doing, versus if I'm stepping into new territory. And I look at that behavior pattern, if it is a self-sabotaging pattern, and I ask why. I ask, okay, what's going on here? Why is this happening? What in my life is maybe triggering this? And is it helpful or hurtful? Because sometimes it's a helpful thing, because sometimes we do need to step away from something. Maybe it's not a good path for us. And I've experienced that recently where I was like, do I really want this? And my behavior was saying no. It was saying, no, you don't. Even though on paper, this opportunity looked like it was made for me. There was something holding me back. And in that case, when I started to sabotage that opportunity, I had to look at what that sabotage was. Was it a self-sabotage for the good or for the bad or for the for the right reasons? And that had me all sorts of mentally going back and forth because I wasn't sure. And then when I got clarity, I had to ask qualifying questions. I had to ask mentors. I got in my prayer journal, whatever it works for you, uh, to find that truth and then realize where the behavior is coming from. And then you can address it and take it on either way you need to, whether it's stepping away from an opportunity or saying, I'm going to engage in this, put tools into practice that help you get through that self sabotage and move forward.
Mm. There's when I think about the self sabotage thing, there's a few things that go through my head, and I think it's really the, what are other people's thoughts of me? Um, and you would, when I was listening to you kind of go through that, the thing that, is it a healthy sabotage? Is it not a healthy sabotage? Was this maybe an opportunity that wasn't the right fit for me anyway? And the first thing that went through my mind was, what do I want versus what do other people expect of me?
Mm,
And I think that, based on what you just shared, that's probably a little bit of, well, here's actually what I want to do. Why am I trying to do this thing that, other people expect this? So there's the expectations of X, Y, Z out here. So yeah, I think to your point, there's maybe some valid times when that becomes something that's actually kind of appropriate, is to have a little bit of kind of self sabotage around a particular thing. Um, but I've seen a lot of times, and can think about a lot of times, even in my journey of, I have sometimes let other people's thoughts and opinions and what I think that they perceive of me or what I'm doing get in the way of the things that I actually want to do.
mm,
Who's to, why does anyone else get to dictate what is right for me or my life or anything else like that. Why does anyone get to say I can or can't have something or get to experience something or don't? Like your opinion has no bearing on like who I am as a person. I can choose to accept it or not. But I think that's where a lot of the self-sabotage comes in from is it's that fear of being judged, that fear of, what are other people going to think of me if I achieve this or don't achieve this? My family's never been able to achieve this level of success before. What are they going to think of me? Like maybe, maybe I don't really want to, achieve this level of business success because I'd be kind of the outsider then, and I'm uncommon in my own family, and these are the types of things that can kind of come to mind. But it's to me, it's a lot of fear, and it's a lot of um, fear of other people's judgment, and I'm continuing to learn. Don't always get it. But continuing to learn kind of the process of what other people's opinions of me are none of my business. That's them in their own head. I can't control it. I can't do anything about it. I can only control what I believe, what I choose to believe in myself, and what I choose to accept or am willing to accept in kind of those moments.
Oh, you hit the nail on the head there. Definitely. It is, that's where I struggle is like other people's thoughts around me. And I get caught up in that. And that's usually when the sabotage gets worse, or I start to even manifest or think of like put thoughts in my head of what they think of me, even though they haven't said anything. That's another one. And it's like, what are our thoughts saying? And what are our thoughts of what we think others think of us? And that's where a lot of times I think a lot more negative than what other people are actually thinking of me. And that's been a struggle too. And I think many of us struggle with those kind of layered nuances of those thoughts. And yeah, that's been, I feel like the more when we step into uncharted territory or step into new places in our life that we see more of this bubbling up, whether it I lose friends that were my friends for a long time that
Mm.
as I'm changing and becoming who I am in business, and then I get really insecure and then I self-sabotage because I'm like, well, my friends I we don't have as much in common anymore. Not that anything's like it's not really good or bad. It just is. Like it's just differences of life, like our different paths of life. And I have to remind myself the same thing. It's like it's all right. Keep going. You're on your path. And one thing that I've been using as a tool to help me with this is I'm writing I am statements and having those when I'm in a healthy headspace. I write the I am statements, very defined I am statements, about 10 of them. And those I can refer back to in these times when my brain is going into a sabotaging place or my brain's going into a limited belief space. And I can look at those and say, here's your truth. Here's what you know to be true for you, despite what anybody says or you think they think or say, you've got this in front of you as something to read and write and recite to yourself as a reminder of what your truth is.
I love that so much. For those that have been following, us in Action Coach for a bit, I am statements are actually a pretty core belief of something that we do internally. And I love doing them. I was not a huge fan of them. Like when I first jumped into Action Coach, kind of did all this stuff. Like I was like, "What's this? Woo woo stuff?" And yeah, I didn't really love it. But then I had really a teacher of mine kind of teach me and talk to me about how to think about an I am statement. It's not just a straight affirmation, and
Mm.
it really resonated with me. So I'll share it for anyone in the audience that's maybe kind of on the same path that I was. Um, if you say an I am statement like I am a millionaire as a simple example, and then you've got that little voice on your shoulder that says bull crap, it just negates the entire thing, right? So you have to kind of think about, well, what is the goal of what I'm doing? And it's to put myself in the path of I believe that I can achieve something. I am going to build the stack of evidence that says that I can do this thing. So if for you saying I'm a millionaire, like bullcrap, have you looked at your bank account? No, you're not that. How do you shift that into something that is believable? I am on the path of becoming a millionaire. I am on the path of doing this. I am starting to do these types of things. I am taking this level of action today. it's more of like a little reminder of the things that you are doing to achieve the things that you want versus I am happy. Well, that's a state of being. Okay, that's not the same, right? That's a little bit different than kind of this tactical way to do it. So that was really helpful for me when I went through the process. Is now something that I do. I continue to refine like what are my I am statements to kind of get through that and say, no, I'm on this path. This is what I'm going to be doing. I am deserving of this, and I'm going to continue to building a small stack of evidence every single day that says I am confident that these things are going to happen, and that helps me personally get out of kind of those negative headspaces much quicker than just you know shouting general affirmations in the mirror.
I 100% agree with that. I look at IM affirmations or things of this nature like a workout for your brain. You know, like when you go to the gym, you do repetitions, right? You want to strengthen a certain muscle group, you do repetitions on that muscle group. And then you get stronger day by day. Same thing with your I am statements. Yeah, it's not really in that woo woo space. It's more so there's a science. There's something you're growing your telomeres, which are your in your
Yep.
brain that like you're when you create new pathways of learning, those telomeres change. And when you recite to yourself these thoughts or these I am statements rather than negative, like when we get caught in those negative spirals, which I do, self-sabotage, perfection paralysis, all of those things, when we take a step back from saying those things and we grow the telomeres on the other way in the positive path in our life, that's going to help us physically change our brains as
Mhm.
well as emotionally change our hearts. And so there's a little bit of both. There's some magic and there's some actual structure there that is changing. So I am statements is a great way to start that practice.
I will 100% align with that. There is a lot of science with it. That same teacher that kind of taught me how to think about it. He used the analogies of like freeways in the brain, and you're creating new freeways and pathways and things like that, and like that, very real, right? There is that stuff that is actually changing kind of chemically within the brain and whatnot, and things are growing and changing, and yeah, it's there's definitely a lot of science in it. I don't think either one of us are here like knowing all of that stuff. If you want to go do more research on it, please go do. But there definitely is some science behind it. It's not just a hope and a dream. There's kind of some real tangible stuff that's been studied with it, which is kind of really cool to back up with all the stuff that's been around for a long time.
100%. I guess one of my favorite resources is Dr. Carolyn Leaf. She wrote the book How to Clean Up Your Mental Mess or Cleaning Up Your Mental Mess. And that really goes into, she does a deep dive into what that looks like and how she calls it is neurocycling. And it's a very similar, a little more, more depth, but I would check out Carolyn Leaf's work. That really helped me change the game and how I think and move me away from those sabotaging thoughts rather into more fruitful, productive thoughts.
Awesome. Well, this has been a really fun conversation. I think we maybe, if this is something that you really enjoyed, you love this topic, if there's little pieces that you want to get into a little bit deeper on it, comment, share, kind of your thoughts in the comments below. Allow us to go through a little bit deeper in areas that you actually absolutely want to know more about. But for those that are maybe in a sales role or in a management role, and you've got some limiting beliefs around how to manage, how to sell, maybe you're just stuck at a certain sales level and you're like, I know I'm so much better than this, but I keep just getting stuck at the same level. Give us a call. I'll put some information in the video description below. We've got some fantastic 12-week programs on sales and management to kind of help you overcome some of those things and achieve so much more. If you're interested in something like that, check it out below. Send us a direct message, and we'll connect with you on anything that you want to know more about. But I guess with that, that'll kind of wrap up our conversation today. Thank you, Kay, for bringing it in and having some fun conversation on limiting beliefs and all the fun stuff that comes along with it.
Thank you so much, Tanner. It's been a joy.